With its Japanese setting opening the door to plenty of potentially terrible Japan weird lol style humor, and with a bizarre obsession with dated internet memes. For some reason, the characters don't appear as with simply their names, but with Twitter handles, their special skills hashtags, and characters use terms like fail as a noun, which I think was probably banned by some sort of UN embargo by this point. There seems to be a lot of places for We Are Vigilante's Imps in Tokyo to go wrong. Fortunately though, get into the game itself and you'll realise that it's quite respectful for the most part to the city that inspires it, and the internet humour, while dumb and grating, doesn't really get in the way too much. What's left behind is a smartly designed, if flawed, little adventure come arcade action game that's well worth a few minutes of your time. You play as the titular Imps, patrolling the night skies, collecting the dreams of the people that dwell far below, while trying to stave off the nightmarish their bad intentions. The game plays out as a simple single-screen collectathon. You fly your little imp around by tapping the screen, and you want them to collect little orbs, preferably in order. So if you collect a blue orb first and then collect the little yellow orbs that follow it along, then you get more points than if you just collect the yellow orbs first. So there's a little bit of reading the movements of these orbs as they flash across the screen in a way that reminded me of Galaga Legion, so the best parts of it. You have to similarly be aware of the movements of enemies. There are piranhas flying by that you want to biff if possible, but spiky ones that you'll want to avoid. So you want to have a look at the little coloured trails that flash on screen that let you know what the next wave is going to move like. It's all pretty decent, inoffensive stuff, and it certainly looks very nice and sounds beautiful. Stunning music kind of accompanies the whole piece. It would be, though, something that would get fairly tired over the course of the game's 15 stages, plus extra trial modes and a secret arcade mode that's discoverable if you collect a few mewing spectators as you go. But Imps in Tokyo is smart enough to introduce a few little side attractions to change up the pace. So 1 minute you might take a break from your usual flying action in order to shoot things in a massive robot, and another minute you're having a sort of endless, auto runner style trek across Tokyo towards Shinjuku. They really change up the game, and they're quite pleasant, although these are probably the parts that have the biggest difficulty spikes in a game that's otherwise kind of gently paced. The biggest problem here is controls for the most part. I just never got along with the game's controls, and was continually expecting at first just to have a sort of roaming virtual joystick where wherever I placed my thumb would be my route, and then I could, just relatively direct my imps about. That didn't happen though. This is more of a tap and go kind of control scheme, where you tap where you want your imp to fly and they will fly there, and that just doesn't really work in the stages that require the most precision. It kind of just never really feels right. You can't change directions. If you have a plan, then that's great, but if you're trying to change up what you're doing on the fly, it just doesn't really work, and that's a big enough irritation to drag the game down a few notches. Control issues and ingratiating quote-unquote humor aside, this is a game that's smarter than your average casual mobile experience, and it certainly looks great and sounds brilliant to boot. It's a well-paced little jaunt, and it's worth, as I said, a few minutes of your time when it launches on iOS on February the 17th. To rest easy at night, check out kaijupop.com.